Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nigel Baker, and as well as being the British ambassador to Slovakia, I also lead the British government's financial and professional services network across Central and Eastern Europe. The network has representatives in embassies across the region, embedded in trade teams, and they'd be delighted to hear from you at any time. I would like cordially to welcome you to this fourth annual Fintech Summit. This year, online for the first time, co-organized by the British government. And this is a good moment to thank the main organizers, TechSummit Events, for putting this fantastic event together at a really difficult time for all event organizers. I'm really pleased that we will have the opportunity to see such an impressive gathering of highly progressive and innovative fintech companies at the summit today, including a really strong showing from the UK. The previous 3 editions of this event were a huge success. And this year's event has a great agenda and offers a range of relevant, new, and exciting issues for presentation and for discussion. So what is it that's so exciting about fintech? Well, for me, it comes down to the talented people and innovators involved, but also the productive, efficient, and cost-saving solutions that those innovators create to make all our lives easier. And I believe that that also is why the UK is a global leader in professional and financial services, because we recognize that sustainable, environmentally friendly economic growth has to be based on innovation. Let me mention just a few figures to illustrate that. The UK Fintech sector contributes about £6.6 billion to the UK economy. There are already over 1,600 fintech companies registered in the UK. Estimates suggest that this will more than double by 2030. Fintechs employ over 76,000 people in the UK. And interestingly, 42% of workers in the UK fintech are from overseas. And this overall number is set to grow to over 105,000 by 2030. So it's a growing sector, and recent years have been exceptionally strong for investment in the UK fintech sector, attracting over 60% of the available venture capital and private equity funding from across the whole of Europe. So the platform is there. But what else is important to create an attractive, pro-innovative environment? I think the first ingredient is active, open, and transparent cooperation between regulators and fintechs to develop flexible, supportive, and business-friendly conditions for future growth. A really good example of this is the sandbox concept, powered by the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, which you can hear more about in the panel dedicated to the fintech ecosystem later today. I think another essential ingredient for growth is free international trade. And here we can identify several areas and successful examples of cooperation between the UK and Central and Eastern Europe in financial services. From banks' digital transformation projects to risk management. From artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions to blockchain. From financial education to green advisory, green finance advisory, and many more. I'm really pleased that the panels will cover a lot of this in much greater depth later on. As you know, and it's no secret, the UK left the EU at the end of January this year. We're now in a transition period, seeking a fair, balanced, and mutually advantageous trade agreement with the EU, which we believe can be achieved. We don't know the outcome yet of the negotiations, and therefore both Central European and British businesses need to prepare for every option. And that's why we've recently launched our Keep Business Moving strategy to support UK businesses in their preparation for the new reality from January 2021. But I want to be really clear here. Whatever happens, the UK will remain open for business. And we hope to have an opportunity to discover new, exciting areas for mutual cooperation, including in the financial services. I think the future is really bright for fintech in the UK and its cooperation with European partners. So I conclude on an upbeat note. Please, make the most of this summit today. We've got people here from around the world. We've got representatives from regional financial industries. And we've got British companies here whose innovative ideas, products, and services will enhance your competitiveness. So make connections, raise your profile, exchange ideas, and above all, do some business, because that's what it's all about. Enjoy the event, and thank you very much for participating today.
Welcome to today's discussion on the next panel discussion during the Finweek. Today, my name is Katarína Hazuchová. I'm an independent environmental analyst. I will have an opportunity to be a chair, a moderator of these panels, of today's two panels. First of all, let me briefly summarize our thankfulness to the partners of this Finweek. So, first of all, main partners, Ministry of the Finance of the Slovak Republic, National Bank Slovakia, the partners, British Embassy Bratislava, and the supporters, Burza cenných papierov Bratislave, Slovak Czech Trade Bank, Oracle Corporation, and Raiffeisen Bank, last but not least. Now, this is my pleasure to introduce a panel in more details. We have here our distinguished panelists, and we have also the short thesis. I would like to read the thesis first of all and introduce the panelists, or vice versa. I will introduce the panelists first and then I will read the concept of today's discussion. So it is a pleasure to welcome Ms. V.Uherová, the CEO of Oracle Slovakia, the one lady on our panel. This is not the gender equality. 2 days ago, we had 3 panel discussions, and it was a major prevalence of the women. I have to say this because this is also the chapter, and I'm very great, and I'm very happy to open this theme all the time. But we are not going to continue with this theme anymore. Then we have one of the speakers, which is going to be connected online. It's Mr. Ali Patterson, Editor-in-Chief, Fintech Finance. Welcome, Ali. Unfortunately, you will have to leave today earlier, but I would like to introduce you at least. I don't know how much time you have at the beginning. You think we can start with some of the questions, or?
Absolutely. I have to leave and come back because, well, everyone's working from home and we have a little childcare issue here. So I may have to step out and come back in a little bit.
It's a very pleasant issue. So let me continue with introduction of our panelists. It's Jan Sehnal, Erste Group IT International Head of Innovations, the guy who should be connected online. Jan, I cannot see you very briefly, but I see you. Okay, welcome. Then we have Jakub Křivan, Director of Institutional Clients CE, Quantic Financial Solution. Jakub, welcome. Hello. And last but not least, we have Kenneth Kumor, Director of DLT Software Slovakia. Pleasure having you all, by the way. So we have the thesis of our panel. The title is Fintechs, TechFins or Banks. Who will be the winner? Now, we should think about the environment of the fintechs in Slovakia, but also in the region of the Central and Eastern Europe. The Slovakia is having a specific position in this field because we have a very talented and very skilled companies and professionals who are providing not only the added value, but who are really making a change to existing setup system of the conservative, let's say conservative banking institutions and insurance companies. But also the companies or the startups, the so-called fintech startups companies who are providing this added value based on the technology and based on the services fit to the purpose to the customers. Let me remind you one example. A few years ago, it was the PayPal company, which provided many opportunities to the customers to use online banking services, but not through the banks, but because they just overlapped the banks and they provided the services with some additional benefit to the customers. Of course, the banks had to react to this example because their portfolios had to keep the trend, so they provided additional services and the cooperation. First of all, the competition, and then the cooperation has started. Now we would like to map what is the environment today? How is it in the Central Europe? How is it in Slovakia? How is it in the European Union? We have expert panelists from the Slovakia in here, but also from the UK. UK is a great example how we could set up the fintech because it is a leader, one of the major leaders of the fintech in, I don't want to say in Europe, but I would like to say maybe globally, and so we believe that you have a lot of experiences to share, how to set up the system and how to make much of the profit out of it. So fintechs are seen as partners of banks rather than competitors. But how about the TechFins? The title of our discussion is not about the fintechs because we have many solutions already on the market on this segment, but we are going to talk also about the TechFins, which is kind of the upgrade based on the processing of a higher amount of the data fit even to the purpose of the customer in a real-time environment. So if you speakers would like to elaborate a little bit on this, it would be very beneficial, not stay focused just on the fintechs, but also to the TechFins. What is the reputation of TechFins comparing to banks? Does Gen Z and the younger trust tech rather than banks? How much have banks invested into the innovations to stay competitive? So far, banks have invested $1 trillion US into the innovations. Are banks able to work with the data they have properly to stay competitive? Or do TechFins have bigger budgets and more data, giving them a competitive advantage? Are data a strategic asset? What else is crucial for the success? Nowadays, banks sell a set of services that can increasingly be offered by non-banks too. How will the future product of this mix of bank change? Is the increase of services and diminishing of products seen as a trend? Can fintechs help banks to remain competitive? Will there be a clean winner loser in the long run, banks, TechFins, or challenger banks? There are a lot of questions, a lot of issues which should have been answered, not only the asked. But I would like you to take a lead, dear distinguished speakers, and share your experiences. We have segments of many different kind of the stakeholders here on this panel, and I would like to start with Kenneth Kumar, Director of DLT Software Slovakia, because you are one of the you are perceived as one of the most successful fintech leader at the market.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to comment on the difference between the fintechs and TechFins as we sort of see it in the industry. And as far as I'm concerned, fintech, it's more of a traditional financial institution, such as, so I would call it a licensed subject, which could be either a payment institution or an institution with the license to issue electronic money, or could be even a standard bank. And as such, they are trying to implement the latest technologies or some sort of innovation within their processes or the organizational processes to deliver, first of all, better services for their customers, whether this results in lower fees or quicker transaction times, or they can sort of provide like a broader scope of products using these technologies. And on the other hand, we have these, I would call them TechFins, although this is a relatively new jargon that hasn't been used even 5 years ago. And as such, these are the companies such as Apple, Google, Facebook, and they are sort of, due to the sheer scale of their operations, they are in a way becoming banks, as they have to really deal with a large number of transactions. And they also are getting the necessary licenses to conduct this activity, but they sort of have a much larger edge as far as these new technologies that sort of these other, let's say, old-fashioned institutions. It's much more difficult to get the right people and to sort of set up the processes, as they are still running mostly on very old legacy systems. So in my view, these TechFins definitely are in a more advantageous position for the future, as also they have built over the many years a very loyal customer base of the users, and perhaps have more ways, how to engage their users as far as providing the financial services. So just very briefly, this would be sort of the opinion that I have about the current situation.
Thank you for your opinion. Very relevant, consistent. But let me ask you a little bit in more details. When it comes to TechFins, you said they are in a more advantageous position. Most of the licenses, as far as my knowledge is concerned, we are going to have a speaker on the another panel from the Lithuania. The Lithuania is a leader. We are facing kind of the problems with the licenses in Slovakia in two segments. In either it is a e-money or it is a cryptocurrency. But we have to face the discussion is on the regulation is going to be the case of the next panel, but I would like to come a little bit to this aspect, because when we are talking and when this is a relevant theme of our panel discussion, not only the fintech but also the TechFins, and the most of the TechFins company, as you said, the Google, Facebook, etc., they are buying the licenses prevalently from Lithuania.
I can explain why this is the case. So as far as the needs of the user of these so-called TechFins, usually they are not interested in any sort of credit products or loans, and they are merely interested in having a whatever we could call it, a current or checking account, where they can deposit either euros or dollars or any of the relevant currencies they are using, and they would simply like to make a transfer and or just use sort of the bare minimum of the services. And sort of this brings me back to why are all these companies, such as whether it's the new neobanks or sort of the challenger fintechs such as Revolut, N26, Monies, and many more, why they go to Lithuania? And the reason is very simple, because at the moment the way the financial system is set up, and I'm primarily talking about the Target 2 system, which is the settlement system used in Europe for banks and central banks. This you cannot become a direct participant even if you have the e-money license or the payment institution license, which sort of imposes the same KYC ML requirements on this institution as a bank. But in some way, these institutions, they don't get as much value as the banks. For instance, the way it works in Slovakia is that once you successfully obtain the licensing through the national bank, You have all the people in place, including a proper KYC officer, proper processes to detect suspicious transactions, AML. You are still forced to have an account at the commercial bank, which might negatively influence your business model, as the bank in question might not agree, with it due to the fact that they see you as a potential competitor, or you provide services to client in an industry which they deem is high risk. And this sort of, the banks still maintain the biggest leverage due to the fact that they are directly connected to the target 2, system, which is sort of the key, for making a market that is fair to all of the participants, and to sort of to creating a larger competition. Because of course this is a huge issue, not just in Slovakia, but overall. We still do have, even in developed areas of Europe, quite a sizable population that we would call underbanked. People who do not have a basic banking checking account for whatever reason. And one of the reasons why they don't is that in most of the commercial banks you still have to pay a relatively high fee just for maintaining a simple balance. And this sort of brings into the question, okay, why are we not doing something about it as soon as possible? I understand there is an upcoming new legislation that from the EU Commission that will sort of...
We will come to the legislation in the next point, but thank you for following this point, because I would like to discuss it a little bit further. We are the country with a huge innovative potential, and I wouldn't like to say we would like to expand, but we don't want to be at the end of the tail in order to use this opportunity. And we have also some kind of binding frameworks from the European Commission to follow this process in all European countries. And but there is also a reality that we are having regions which are underdeveloped, which have the people which are disadvantaged, and they lack of basic access to the financial products from the banks. But the banks are the subject which are the place who are highly regulated. And if there is an innovation on the market which is offering additional services with an added value, why not to develop further this potential, and why not to use this opportunity? Now, I would like to see what is the environment with the banking sector and this innovation within the fintechs in Slovakia, because we have here a distinguished panelist, Jakub Křivan, Director of Institutional Client CE, Quantec Financial Solutions. We're basically dealing with two types of clients: the banking sector, the banking institutions, and the insurance companies. We would like to see, Jakub, your point of view, but not only in a sense what is your product, what you are offering, what innovative product actually, to be more precise, you are offering to these clients, because they are part of the conversation. Despite we don't have anybody from the banking industry on this panel, we have you are providing some added value. We have smart specialization. The companies, the industry is looking for additional solutions in order to be more competitive, which is a good thing. But we would like to listen how the banks are dealing with the fintechs and how the investors or the companies can be in compliance, even the fintech companies, startups, can be in a compliance to provide this added value to the banks. What do the banks need? Could you just a little bit to evaluate and estimate what is the position on our market?
So, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here. Actually, I'm coming from the asset management industry. I'm working already 15 years within the CQ investment group, and I saw and I see that all banks and all asset managers are going digital. They're using robo-advisory, they're using data, big data or deep data as we call it. And basically I'm 2 months in a company we acquired. It's called Contact Financial Solutions, and this company comes from risk management. In 2012, we did for ECB, for European Central Bank, we did a stress test for Spanish banks. So our guys were looking how much money the Spanish bank system will need to finance itself, and this is all about forecasting. We came up with 43 billion euros, and the reality was 44. So we have a system which works with deep data. The problem with data in the asset management industry is that you have 100,000 companies which are on a stock exchange. Within these companies, you get all the information. But then you have the other companies, which are really big, really interesting, but they are not listed. In our database, we have 42 million companies all over the world, and with these companies, we work. And how our forecasting is working, we take the last actual balance sheet of the company, and match it with the actual macro data, such as GDP, unemployment rate, interest rate, gold price, oil price, and so on. And the good thing is we are audited by the 3 of the big 4. So each year we have to look how the forecast was, and we have a forecast, or the forecasts are about more than 90% success. So we have something that is working already many years, and we do different types of products. We do a risk analysis, so we look at the credit risk portfolio of a bank or asset manager or a pension fund or insurance company, and say, okay, this is okay, but this bond I would change because there's a risk. Or we do different products because for the millennials and the younger generation, 2 topics now are of interest. It's ESG and it's robo-advisory. So we are offering also a robo-advisory platform where the client of the bank or of the insurance company can see all the information of the portfolio, but also what is happening in the world. And maybe the latest news we did a Corona, because Corona, you know, it's everywhere, and we did a study with PwC. We have a dashboard where you can put any country, any industry, and we have different scenarios for that. This dashboard is for free, and we did it for more than 100,000 companies all over the world.
It's fantastic because we haven't mentioned this in our thesis on the panels, but this is strictly a very important issue in order to have significant impact on the development in the financial sector and also with the TechFins. But so if you have a solution which is of course strictly focused on your customers, but providing maybe in a next step the value to another segments in a chain, the end user is at the end, but it can become a really significant added value. Now, if I may ask you, because you are working basically with the companies, with the insurance companies, with the banks, and now how it is going to be connected with setting up the infrastructure of the fintech in Slovakia. What kind of proposition or what kind of solution you are offering to the startups, to the companies in the fintech, or TechFin, vice versa environment? Is it something which you can articulate, or is it something which is at the edge of your services providing to the banks, and the banks are going to distribute it to the companies? Because there can be some kind of misconduct, miscommunication when it comes to the cooperation, because the cooperation is one of the major points in our panel.
Well, actually, I'm having at the moment only institutional clients, so that means we are doing rather B2B. We are offering these services on a cloud basis. So actually, everything is online, and they have direct access. But we are now speaking also with some institutions to provide a robo-advisory tool for their clients. This would be their clients. We are not having any retail clients, but as I said, we are rather working with big institutions, with big banks, and also with auditors. We can also actually forecast real estate development projects, where we're speaking also with a big company in the region, where we can actually forecast what the development in the real estate will be.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Now, this is an opportunity to ask the distinguished lady, V.Uherová, the CEO of the Oracle Slovakia. First of all, I would like to react to one of the themes, because there is an opportunity, of course, to choose what is the most relevant for you. And the second aspect is you are probably on the developer's side, so we may speak also on in the area of the development of the software development. What is the edge? How far we can go? Where are we now in Slovakia, and so forth. So you choose. You have this privilege.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Well, okay, there were so many aspects and topics that I would like to interfere my distinguished colleagues here within the panel. But I'll try to take the last sentence and the last question that you were asking at this moment. Yeah, we are the technology company. Definitely we are the part of each of three subjects that we are talking about now. Fintech, we somehow are talking about that we know everything about. TechFin, I would definitely talk about that we are not just in a position of paying for the services now, and especially due to these disruptive changes where even COVID situation was one of the accelerator. We already are in a situation where TechFin is not just the Facebook, not just the Google and so on. Even, I don't know, Uber at the situation of providing the investments or the loans. Even Tesla, that is again providing the possibility of loans for the cars. And even our company, Oracle, that is in fact providing to the client, also here in Slovakia, the possibility to use the technology and pay the technology within some special payments opportunities where we are cooperating with the banks. Of course, this is somehow work around there are the regulations here in this country. But let's talk about if there is a possibility to serve to the client better, easier, and to the point of the product solution, the regulatory is the biggest issue and the biggest limit, the biggest border. And each of the country, and I would say here, each of the continent is dealing with this separately. We've got the big topic within the America. We've got the biggest topic within China and Asian countries where obviously with less regulatory, this practically means the biggest effort for the client. Now the question is, where is the balance between the regulatory limits and the possibility of add value to the clients, I mean customers and business as well? So this is another big topic, obviously, but I would like to say that those definitions of TechFins already, even
Fintechs.
No. Tech insurance, because those are another two. Insurtech, but tech insurance. Okay. Tech insurance, for example, Tesla at this moment. Okay, so there are no new other possibilities of hybridization of all those words and all those services around.
We also have, if I'm not mistaken, RegFins, so dealing exactly with the regulatory issues.
So I'm sorry. What Oracle is in fact doing for all those three subject plus, of course, new hybridization of those words is obviously this ABCD. Support. This practically means A as artificial intelligence, B as blockchain, C as cloud computing, and D somehow, well, of course, data, but I would definitely add machine learning. So what a technology company as Oracle can support is definitely all the technology and modern technology aspects that practically means either way of, let's say, old-fashioned possibilities of use, or new, modern, integrationally conceptual solutions that could be even much cheaper than this old-fashioned platform is normally, and all the other results and outcomes are just on the imagination or the creativity of the client.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think we came a little bit in more detail to the concept because we are not trying to disturb the existing market, but we are trying to make it more efficient and more accessible to the users, to the consumers, and we have a lot of obstacles how to do that. I'm not really sure whether Ali Patterson, editor-in-chief Fintech Finance from the UK, is present online. Ali, are you still here, or are you going to follow us later? If there is no answer, response, he is not there, okay, we can continue. Of course, I would like to, the reason why I was not speaking to Ali, despite this fragility that he had to left earlier, is because I wanted to shape or design or show up the landscape in Slovakia, because this is our country, and we are, of course, very open to experiences and to the discussion. And that's why I would like to speak to Jan Sehnal, Erste Group IT International Head of Innovations. It's an international company, but the only representative of the banking sector in here. I said we don't have any representative of the banking sector, but not the traditional one. You are doing a lot of innovations. You are ahead of the innovation when it comes to the fintech. Could you please share us with the experience how you are dealing with the TechFin and Fintechs in your position, because you are a part of the TechFin companies, but you are dealing with the role itself. So, what are the benefits? What are the pros and cons of this development in this field?
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for being here. I hope that sound is fine. Okay. Because everything is now muted, so I'm just surprised. So from my perspective, I will not consider ourselves as an IT provider for Erste Group as a TechFin. We are, let's say, part of the banking environment, and all of us actually are part of this story, or at least as a customers. So the first part of the question was related to international teams. So it is not only about the Slovakia, and thanks to Corona, I think that it is really changed. And now we are talking about really international environment, even much more than before. But the company of ours is in the same mood as it was like before Corona. So there is no change. Fintechs and TechFins, and what is the approach and what is the cooperation? So for the fintech, this is already known. We are all somehow part of the fintech world. Also, banks are considered as a fintech. So basically, we are playing this game already. Sometimes we are in competition mode. Mostly we are in a competitive mode, or there is a competition somehow. But this is the easy part. I don't think that we are part of the TechFin game. TechFin, like Google, Amazon, and all these, are basically don't care too much about the banks from my perspective. They do care about the customers, and this is the right approach from their perspective, and I absolutely agree with that. And they are focusing on the needs of the customer, not to provide the financial services. They are providing the need, whatever it is. And from my perspective, this approach is really still missing in a bank's behavior or perception, and in the strategies of the banks as well, because we are trying to open new products. On top of the standard banking products, we are opening our data, we are opening the services, partly because of the regulation, partly proactively, but this is still not enough. We are not asking right questions. We are discussing about that, but this is missing in our strategies, like what is needed from customers' perspective for mobility, for healthcare, for housing, for communication, entertainment, and all the areas which are related to life. We are only covering the money behind and how to cover all these needs. But this is not enough. And TechFins, this is a different story. So my reaction on that is that with fintechs, we are cooperating. Sometimes we are buying these companies. I'm not saying only about our banking group, but I mean generally the banking industry. We are buying these fintechs, we are cooperating, we are doing the joint ventures, etc. But TechFins are somewhere elsewhere. We can see them, but we are not able to react on them. So from my perspective, not sure how to react better here than ask everyone in banking industry, guys, start to really focus on the customer's needs, not on the banking needs or financial needs of the customer only, but banking needs. And of course, this is a regulatory environment, a regulatory-based environment, so we can do anything on top of the financial services at the first point. But this is not 100% true. As a companies, we can offer much more for the customers. And at least we are cooperating with the insurance companies, so we are providing this. We already have mobile banking and other platforms. We are communicating with the customer, but only in terms of money. Let's start with the communication from the perspective of the life needs. So probably I will react here, and please continue with me or disagree, or let's have this discussion, let's say.
Okay, thank you very much for this point of view. Well, the banking sector, we had some representatives 2 days ago. I had an opportunity to chair some other panel discussion. It was related to financial literacy, and we had representatives also from the banking sector. And you already mentioned this, but this is not the topic of our panel, that the regulation is one of the mostly articulated reasons why the banks are against any interference with the TechFins. And this is because they are just working in a different unregulated environment, and there are no actually control mechanisms to estimate the risks to the customers, which is completely a different portfolio of the services which the banks are providing to the customers. So the interference between the banks and between the TechFins is going to be, of course, wide, because they are working in a different spaces, in a different environments. Now, when we are coming to the consensus that in the center of the focus is the customer and their needs, and the system is not working perfectly and properly. We are having now the crisis, COVID crisis. We have some solutions in order to postpone the credits for the next period for those companies or households who are not able to pay it on the time. Okay, we are making some of the intermediation of the problems, but it will become the problem after a certain time, because it will not disappear. And now, why not to use this opportunity to provide the customers, the vulnerable customers, with another opportunities, and why not to find a way how to cooperate together, try to bridge this edge, this problematic area. And if you have any idea how to do so, you can elaborate on this now. If not, I will try to ask the other speakers.
I'll probably only react very shortly that from my perspective, this is not 100% true that the TechFins are not following the regulation, because if they are interacting in terms of payments or banking and money in general, they are playing the same rules in our environment, or almost the same rules as the banks does. Different is the reporting, let's say. It's probably much easier for them. But from my perspective, this is not the thing that they have easier. They have much easier task because they have much closer connection to the customer. They have plenty of connection points with the customer. Like we are talking about GAFA, but let's talk about Tesco, for example. It's a retailer, you have daily connection with the customer. They are providing financial services. They are following the same regulation as we does, probably similar or easier. But they have much more connection points. Or let's ask the question: how often you are, as a customer, you are interacting with your bank in terms of your life needs, and how often you are interacting with the Tesco or any other company, or Apple or Facebook. Basically, the connection points are so on different level that it's much easier game on this playground, not because of the regulation from my perspective. So. This is
okay, so what would be the solution to involve for the banks, to involve in the process more TechFins or more FinTechs?
FinTechs at the beginning, from my perspective, and we need to offer the services on top of banking and also create the monetization stream behind that. And it's already happening, so I'm not saying something new, and basically we have all the discussions, all the conferences behind, and we are sharing these. And it's already happening. For example, in Czech Republic, they created recently the bank ID, which is the identity which will be used on the market as a standard, or in the future as a standard, but they have something like 50% already covered of the population that they can provide and validate the identity of the customer. This is absolutely great service, which can be monetized, has added value to the market, has added value to the customer. This is not a new service in terms of TechFins, especially, so your identity is already known. But from the perspective of the bank, which is guaranteed and regulated as well, my perception as a customer is much better than if I'm sharing the identity via the Facebook, for example, on digital manner. So these are the services which can be offered via the banks in cooperation with FinTechs. So this is happening. So definitely with the FinTech, or TechFins are the competition, and they don't care about us from my perspective.
Okay, we are going to react a little bit later, but I'm seeing our guest speaker from the UK. I'm very curious about his example or his experiences in the case of the fintech development and the TechFin maybe in the UK. Could you please a little bit elaborate on these themes?
Absolutely.
I'm asking very broad. So we have to learn a lot from you.
Well, apologies for I had to nip out and do the school run. My job is brilliant. Unlike my other distinguished panelists who are actually doing and achieving stuff, my role involves talking to people like our panelists and almost echoing back exactly what they say. The thing that I think the UK, which I'd say the fintech capital of the world, has in its advantage is it's now, especially for fintechs and neobanks entering, it's quite established. You now almost have a neobank for pretty much every possible segment that you can have. There's an incredible bank called 220 in Wales in the UK who are focused purely on YouTubers. So if you're a YouTuber, they're a bank for you. And I think that specialization is the only way that the banking industry, as we see it, has the opportunity could battle, for want of a better word, against the gaffers, against the Gandalfs, against the very large organizations with a lot of data. And when they do move, as Apple is doing at the moment, into the financial services space, it's going to be I personally think it's going to be a lot faster than people imagine.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Now we have a reaction to the previous speaker. Yeah, of course, if you may, Ms. Uherová.
Okay, I just liked very much Mr. Sahnal's topic. There's so many things that could be now added, but I will start from the last information where Mr. Sahnal was talking about this daily interaction of the customers within Tesco. I would like to come back to yesterday when I was reached by the one no-named bank consultant who was calling to me, talking to me about, okay, you know, you are my VIP client, you've got on your bank account certain amount of money and we would like to offer to you something to do with it. And I said, okay, just tell me what you would like to do with my money. And she told me, okay, so could you come to my office so that we can go through and so on. And I said, I'm sorry, no, because I'm through the morning till the evening working. And basically, do you have something that you can offer to me digitally? I mean, just send me the message, you've got my mail, it's not a problem, you've got my account. But what are your habits and what would you like to know? You know, I said, sorry, could you do it just digitally without speaking communication? Of course, this is not easy enough, but the lady told me, okay, so you know, I will send you the our web page with the possibilities of investment. You will just look at it, and if you like something, just let me know. Okay, so obviously we were talking about the fact that the lady was dealing with my bank account that is in that bank more than 10 years, even 20. She is practically dealing with not just the amount on the bank account. And this is unfortunately the only data that she got, or that she realized that she can use. But in fact, the bank is dealing with my account so big amount of time period without realizing that my, I don't know, purchase or habits are like this, that every month coming with some payment as for salary, that I obviously have some I don't know, insurance that is going every month in some parcel amount out, that I've got also the mortgage, okay? So they know about all this stuff. After 20 years, they already could know what are my habits. And here we come to the data and their value. So there's a data and information that, for example, banks have in enormous amount. But the question is how to deal with it, how to use this data as a value. Because there could be, there's so many, I don't know, analysis tools that could predict, that could use the data for the way saying to me, okay, you know, Mrs. Uherová, when we saw what is your, I don't know, increase on the account or decrease on the account, those are the special products that could be used for you. And this is not happening, in fact. And while the bank has the biggest amount of the data about the inhabitants in daily, not even daily, but secondly use, because they could even see that I was in a Tesco, that I was in a, I don't know, clothes shop, that I was in a hospital or so. Those are imaginary things, but so many information that, of course, requires a little bit higher amount of technology that was spoken with you. Maybe you could continue, because we were talking about even the possible bots, robots, that could somehow direct TechFins, FinTech, and of course, bank not yet. But definitely as far as TechFins and FinTech, those are the data that are in fact utilized properly to get the value and to get the business.
Okay, thank you. You may, if I may make an interconnection. You said the data is being not used ethically or properly in order to provide value to the customers, but rather they are oriented to the profit. Not the profit, but offering products. Okay. Now, we have a European directive which is called PSD2. So that's why this is a good tool, but this is also the, I would like to argue, this is also the case of the bank, how they are using this tool to provide to the third parties the information. Wouldn't it be appropriate to make an activity on the both? Artificial intelligence is perfect, but we cannot guarantee it's going to be perfect when it comes to emotional intelligence. We have some sort of long development to the future, but we are somewhere in the middle, okay?
I would definitely argue now, because 2 years ago I had the keynote here in Slovakia on a conference talking and speaking about our existing solution as far as emotional chatbot coming from Dubai, of course, at this moment, that is successfully implemented within telco companies. That is, in fact, communicating with within the help desk line with all the customers, talking about from the beginning, talking about even issue or the additional requests, finding out all the algorithm and analysis from the psycho methods, and then using the voice, using the sound of the voice, using the volume of the voice, obviously, coming within the algorithm, thanks to artificial intelligence and machine learning, with the proper product that is afterwards served and offered to the customer, with after now another 2 years, with clear definition of KPIs, how much earnings was increased afterwards when this artificial chatbot, MO-bot, was implemented. And of course, at this moment, our chatbots, and we are still talking several levels here, because yes, those are the solutions that are already done somewhere. The question is, and that's why I was talking about the imagination of the customers, talking about yes, what about to find out what are the possibilities even in this situation of COVID? When, well, I always has to think about the beginning of this period in Slovakia, where there was something written that nobody did for the digitalization of Slovakia more than the COVID situation. I don't want to be rude and inappropriate, but it's so. It's definitely so. Everybody knows that at this moment the customers and even businesses are again closing the interaction, physical interaction, and where desirable thing is to have everything digitalized and in proper way.
Okay, you wanted to, Jakub, you wanted to react?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly add that, as it was mentioned here, the banks, they do collect a vast amount of data about where have you been.
Sorry, Kenneth,
yeah.
sorry. Kenneth, I said the
Yes, Kenneth, no problem.
apologize.
No issue. So I understood. So as far as the previous point is concerned, it was mentioned that yes, these let's say these very old school institutions, they collect a vast amount of data, but as far as added value for the customer, it has been very negligible, let's say. So I have two questions regarding that, perhaps for Mr. Suchal. First of all, whether it would be possible for certain, whether it's for privacy reasons or the client just doesn't feel like it, to opt out from part of this data collection, not necessarily the data collection, but sort of getting the recommended products, and whether it's not a better idea for the banks just to focus on the core business and to sort of leave this like an application layer or these added services for other companies through the PSD2 access, which is now possible, and whether that wouldn't be more sort of clever course of action that would create the most value for the individual client. So that's as much.
So this is the question for Mr. Sehnal from Erste Group IT. I would like to ask for another reactions. Would you like to some of the panelists react to the previous question? I would like to pick up the reactions and then we can get the answers if we may to do so.
Well, actually, I will maybe react to what happened to you with the bank. I mean, what I see in the asset management industry is that people want to have tailor-made solutions for their needs, for their expectations, not only the banks but also the retail clients. Actually, what we do, we collect data, but this is something else because the data from the customers and consumers are different as our data. Our data we buy from different companies like Coface and Eastern Europe. So our case it's much easier because the balance sheets and so on they are available. But coming back to the bank, I think the fintech industry makes it much easier for the clients to decide, because in the finance sector you have so many offers, and if you lack financial education, the people they're relying on something which they even don't know. So these fintechs are good that it's they collecting maybe data and they come up with a tailor-made solution. I think the situation would be different if the lady would be saying, okay, we have something tailor-made for you. I will send you the offer via email, and it's one product or maybe 3 products. But also she has to know your needs and expectation, your risk appetite. If you are a conservative investor, they can offer you an SAP stock portfolio. So this is something also important when it comes to investing.
Okay. Now we are coming another reaction from Ali Patterson. Ali, would you like to react on those communications?
Yeah, I actually wanted to bring in Facebook because, well, Facebook, it's no secret, has been trying to get into the banking and payments game for the last few years with Pay Over Messenger. Then they do some interesting things with blockchain. The reason Facebook is successful is it's your own personalized newspaper. It's your own newsfeed of what is specific to you as an individual, and that is, in my opinion, that's what banking needs. If looking at, say, an investment portfolio, you want to have something that is personal to you, that understands exactly what your values are, understands exactly what your risk appetite is, and by values I mean green energy, ethics, etc., or whether or not that matters to you as an investor. But the opportunity there is reliant solely on the data. So that, I suppose, is one of the, to bring it back to the main element, one of the reasons why TechFins have potentially got quite an advantage is that huge amount of data. Banks have that information. It's just the question then is how best to use it. And as been brought up by the panel before, there's a lot of third parties out there of where to bring in that of how to analyze that information. So yeah, on the data front, it's banks have got the data. They've got the war chest of the information. It's just how best to utilize that, and that's the key point that needs to be that banks need to action.
Now I would like to pose a question to Jakub Křivan when it comes, you mentioned 3 pillars. The one is related to the data and to the TechFins. The first one to the FinTech, and the third one is actually very interesting thing to be discussed a little bit later. Because before we approach Jan Sehnal to the answering our points, I would like to know a little bit more about the value, about the responsible investment, about the values, so-called ESGs. I would like to discuss it with, but later on with Jakub. First of all, please, Jan, could you respond? We have a lot of points in order to discuss, so you have the floor. How to say? Yeah, you have the floor. You have a lot of time.
All these reactions, and basically, I'm trying to react on three reactions before. So altogether, I think that we talked about the usage of the data. It was also the example of the offer you got from the lady from the bank. In general, usage of the data. So from my perspective, I would like to highlight this because this is not mentioned many times. We are all requesting more data and more usage of the data, but let's be fair here. So the usage of the data is main question. We are doing so. I mean, banks, not only we are like Erste, but every single bank is doing so. But there is a huge problem or challenge, let's say, of the when to react. We have two main areas, and hope that our data scientists will not kill me for this statement, but we have calculation of the data when we want to offer something, which is the example with the lady offer from the bank, or when we want to check something. Check is mainly if you are asking for a loan, for example. So we need to check everything, whether it's fine, whether we are at risk, etc. So basically, the job of the bank is assessment of the risk. This is the main purpose of the bank at the end. So we need to check. Here it is quite easy. Credit scoring and all the checks we can do. We are doing that quite well. At least in our region, we have plenty of other data sources we can be add, but this is not so added value in there to make higher precision of the model. Actually, we did it plenty of times. There is a lot of work needs to be done, but in general, there is no huge difference as a result. But with the offer, it's absolutely crucial thing, and I would like to highlight two things: that we can calculate plenty of insights out of data and out of the behavior of the customer. We can see it, we can calculate it. It's not easy task. Every single banking group is doing that somehow differently, but at least we are trying or starting with the activities a couple of years already, and it will be better. The problem is that even if we calculate the insight, so something we can really offer to customer, and we can guess that it will be quite precise, we can really go to the point how to interact with the customer. This is again the problem. It is quite easy. I can send you an email with the offer, but come on, we can calculate this every single day every single day 2 times, 3 times. How often we can contact the customer, from which channel. It is very nice to show the examples, like if you are going by the street and you can see the coffee shop, you are nearby, we can send you an offer. Here is the discount for you because we know that you like this kind of a coffee. But everyone will be pissed off. And there is a huge problem with the regulation. Again, I will not go to the regulation topic, but in general, we need to have a consent. I mean, everyone, for contacting the customer, we need a consent. One, we get you angry for whatever reason. You will block the push messages or other channels like emails, SMS, etc. And we are out. We are dead and we are not able to communicate to you anymore. And this is a huge clash. So even if we can calculate 1,000 insights relevant to the customer, It's a very tricky part when to communicate really. And we have the ratio, like out of 1,000 insights, which might be relevant for the customer, we are quite sure that it will be positively perceived by the customer in 3 cases. So this ratio 1,000 to 3 is really huge or basically drastic. So this is my reaction of the usage of the data. So it's happening, but the problem is once we have it, how to promote it, how to communicate. If the customer is active, it's easier. But if the bank wants to be active, it's not so easy. And this is the difference between TechFins and others, that bank is not in a direct communication with the customer proactively. TechFins are doing this job. This is my reaction. Sorry.
Jan, is there not an option to actually get that personalized so you can have a feedback if, for example, a customer doesn't react to it or reacts negatively, you then segment them that actually we're not going to proactively contact them? Like and the gaffers do. What's stopping the banks deliver that level of personalization to pull it back if required?
Basically, it's happening, but the interaction is a limit. So if you will calculate something as a data scientist, you will then ask the marketing or the communication department, like, guys, are we allowed to communicate this? We calculated it will be really great product for the customer. They will love it and they will take it. If the customer will react like, okay, don't bother me with this, we have the systems like to check that, not to bother the customer, etc. So this is covered. But the initial communication is really a pain. So let's be serious here that this is not so easy just to calculate it. The way how to do so, I mean, the final result, the final interaction is really a huge pain. And this is not talked too much. We are only talking about the data and the usage of the data. It's happening. There is plenty of work which can be added, or data sources which can be added, but this is not only question.
Okay. Now, in order to bridge the gap, I'm turning to you back, Jakub, because you are basically providing the risk and assessment. You are taking care of the risk assessment portfolio of the banks. Now we have some kind of set up infrastructure when it comes to bank. They have to comply with the credits balances, with the balance sheets. They are also reliant on some additional activities, and you are here present on the FinTech or Finweek, talking about the Fintechs, working with a huge amount of data. You are exhibiting very good results when it comes to the compliance or to the control. You said you have 90%
success rates of the forecasts. Yeah.
Success rates of the forecasts. So what isn't it a little bit also your role to bridge this gap between the banks, between the technologies providers, and between the customer needs in order to bring the value inside of the system, and so that everybody can take its piece of the cake in the next perspective?
Well, actually, I will maybe first react on Jan's reaction. Actually, the banks or the finance industry has now two big topics for the clients, because according to a study which was done in the US, the millennials and the younger generation, they want that their investment is mostly ESG compliant, and also that they can access the investment via robo-advisory or via an online platform. Mm-hmm. So they want to use some other channels. Maybe you are also a young generation because you wanted to use the online platform to invest. Basically, we are not offering, or we have some core products which were seeded by investors. We are offering at the first side the services, the risk services we are providing, but on the other side we are providing also asset management, and we are not doing a product like everybody else, that we do have some special fund and with all the stocks and so on. We are asking basically our clients, what do you need? Because you mentioned ESG. ESG is a really huge topic. And it's a problem how you define ESG. You can take the MSCI ESG index and so on, but we have, for example, a client in Austria. It's a big pension fund, I would say. And they have their own explanation for ESG, so they provided...
on the social aspect.
Yes.
Some of them are specializing on environmental or sustainability.
Yes, sustainability and also governance, and they provided us with a blacklist and also a whitelist. So they gave us...
But isn't it directly reliant to the customers which the company has, which pillar of the ESG they are choosing?
Sorry, once
Isn't
again?
it because we have different definitions of the ESG? ESG depends on in which segment the client is working. As you mentioned, the pension one is of course related to the social aspect, but isn't it because they have mostly the clients who are expecting this service in the area of social?
Yes, because the ESG is rising everywhere in the finance, and maybe you can approach also clients, because Jan was talking how it's hard to approach. I understand the retail client, because I'm also a client of different banks, and it's hard to communicate with me. But if it's something which interests me, and this could be, for example, ESG or robo-advisory or something else, it's much easier than to make the first step to approach this client. And if he's open to listen, then it's much easier to sell him or to provide him with the solutions.
My point was, if you are speaking to the institution, the company, which is focusing on the specific segment, like the pension funds, it is kind of clear that the value derived from it is going to have the social impact, the social value. So it is not that difficult to approaching the clients, because the company, when it is established, clearly knows what is its basic audience. I believe so.
Yeah, for example, pension funds are rather seen than for long-term sustainable investments, but I think also if it comes to banks or insurance companies, they are taking all the next step and going to ESG. On the other side, as I said, everyone or a lot of the institutions have their own understanding of what ESG is. So some are less stricter than others, and some have their own research. Some of them have their own white or blacklist of ESG companies.
Sure. Okay. Now, Kenneth, would you like to try to bridge the gap between the data processing, the provision to the third parties, and how innovative solution we can find in this intermediary process, which is obviously a problem.
Okay, so there already is a vast amount of tools on the market. I would mention one of the biggest one is Plate, which is they have their own PSD2 platform where they basically help merchants, process payments, remittances, and so on. And for instance, in the United States, we have a similar platform. It's called, I believe, Mint. And basically, it allows you to connect to each of your bank accounts, and you sort of, in a one dashboard, you have, under your view, sort of all of the data points that are relevant to you, whether in the US, whether it's a credit score, or the amount that is owed to the mortgage, or checking account, saving account. So this sort of illustrates the point that I'm trying to make with just letting other companies figure it out, like how to derive as much added value from the data that the bank is aggregating already. Because as I mentioned, the core banking business model, it's not exactly taking all the data and just trying to figure out how to build products on the top of it. The business itself is extremely complicated and over-regulated in itself, And as we know, most of the margins come from providing credit, loans. Banks do not make money, or they make very little money from the checking account fees. So they are not really incentivized to provide great or like services with great added value to customers that are not taking out, let's say, loans or mortgages. So I would say the good strategy for the foreseeable future for the banks is to work a little harder on products that are more attractive to whether it's millennials or Gen Z, which for them it's a very simple choice. If they have to pick, let's say, like, I'm not going to name names, but basically any bank with like a good internet banking like Erste Group, it is still like a far inferior product than basically any like Revolut or N26, which is for free. You don't have to pay for it, and you get much more value, including whether the push notifications are just more quicker, or whether you can there is some loyalty programming or all sorts of added services, and it's all for free. So imagine you are sort of this millennial or Generation Z. Like, why would you even bother opening an account at like one of the regular commercial banks where you pay upwards of 10 euros a month, and you are not even interested in getting a loan or any sort of credit card? So for the bank, you are not generating any income, because they really try to push on you one of the loan products, but obviously you are not the target group for it, but they don't know yet. So they are basically just wasting their resources. So I would suggest, and especially because as we are reaching the point where of the deregulation of the target 2, where also e-money institutions and payment institutions will be able to basically do whatever a bank can do except issuing credit. So I think the ideal strategy for the already established banks would be to really come up with a product that's more tailored to the needs of the millennials and the Gen Z, and also to sort of have more faith and more belief in the third-party services, which would plug into your open banking APIs, and let them figure out the sort of the added value that can be sort of inferred from all the data, because with them that is their core business. This is the only thing they focus on. This is where they make their margin. And for a bank, I think this would just produce like this type of mindset that we should provide sort of everything to the customer, know everything about their life, take care of all their needs. It's just going to produce incremental returns, and as far as costs in research development and all that, I don't think it's a justified course of action. And the future is in having many banks, many financial institutions, and each one of them has its own sort of niche purpose, and they do that. Like I don't think it's feasible that in the future you sort of whatever, become an adult, you get your first bank account and like you live with that forever. I think in the future, or even now, it's pretty normal to have 5, 10, 20 bank accounts. Because if it's for free, you don't have to pay any monthly fee, and you are getting some value out of it, whether it's better conversion rates, if it's like for traveling, or you have like a dedicated card for this use case, one for that use case. So I think this is sort of where we are heading as far as future is concerned.
Regulatory issues, I would like to continue with that, but this is going to be the theme of another panel. Sure. But please, dear speakers, would you like to react on the strategy? Do you have the same opinion or some kind of different ideas?
Thank you. fully agree with the strategy, and we've got a solution, definitely, obviously. Okay, so I would like so that this panel is just a battle one to Mr. Sainal, okay? Not to, even in a situation where I have to say that we are cooperating, obviously, with the local bank on very interesting and modern technology solutions, but. Solution is here already, so strategy clear. I'm very happy that, in fact, Mr. Sainal is capable to name the issue, and the issue is the publishing, okay, of the data, of publishing of the results of the data towards, obviously, some business development for the bank. And I would here just inform you briefly about that, for example, our technology is supporting Netflix. Everybody knows Netflix. And the Netflix created during last year the special type of portfolio and special type of products. And this is not just the Netflix itself, but it's something like a tailored Netflix for each and every of the person who is viewing, and users, customers, who is viewing any kind of theatrical part or movie or the serial on the Netflix. How they did it? In fact, Netflix is utilizing an enormous amount of the data within the platform that is capable to cover it, obviously, and they are using all the possible interference of the person who is viewing it. So thanks to, again, artificial intelligence and machine learning, they are capable tailor each the way of presenting this to each of the customer. This practically means that they are, of course, utilizing the advertisements, the PR, the habits, the things that the customer is clicking on very often, the way of behavior and so on. Of course, you need enormous amount of data and the way how to put it together. But still, if you imagine that one product is in this way totally tailored for millions of people, and in fact, their final product is somehow something special and original. There is 1 million original Netflix channels, in fact. So obviously, the Netflix is supporting and presenting and offering the special products that he knows, or that it knows, that the customer is gonna like it. Obviously, the customer can choose again if they just change the taste, if they just change the habits, or they just off their current customer preferences. Of course, they can change it, but the most important thing and strategy for this is to offer as much as possible tailoring. Okay, and this is something that is pretty obvious. Again, of course, Facebook, all the social media and so on, again, gathering all the data and offering and publishing, in fact, the product as much as close to customer needs. And of course, he still can choose. Okay.
Okay. And any other comments? Any other comments? Or to what Kenneth said before?
If I was in the audience, I would have stood up and applauded you there, Kenneth. That was absolutely on the money, in my opinion, especially around the way that banks are built. It does seem that about 10 years ago, banks like to try and keep everything on-prem, everything in-house, your own internal developers, and hide behind nice tool fortifications and walls. And now, with the likes of the way that N26, that Revolut are working, it's more of a forest where they're working well with third parties who specialize in some just KYC or just AML, and by working with these kind of very specific third parties who all they do is just one thing incredibly well, it's allowed them to be very, very nimble. I think obviously that Oracle ties in quite neatly with that. But yeah, no, and I am one of the people, I waved them earlier, that has got pretty much every possible bank account.
Okay, any other reactions? Jan, we are speaking about the transformation of the banking sector.
I just agree, and one more statement probably, that you should like your bank as a customer, and for doing so, and basically to have this feeling with your bank, whatever the bank is, the bank should really like the customer. And this is not only about the segment of one probably, and just to really calculate some precise offer for you, but from my perspective, this is also the segment of role of one, because every single customer basically acts differently, behave differently at home with the family, in work, and there are also different needs and different reaction from our perspective. We are professionals, we have a conference right now, it will be probably different in 10 hours during the evening with every single one of us. So we need to offer, but at the end, it was used as a Netflix, so thanks a lot for these examples from real life. You like it because there is some added value and you can entertain it. So again, life needs, which is somehow covered with someone, you should do the same. I mean, you as a customer for your bank, you should like it, and the bank needs to like you as a customer.
As an impact of the COVID crisis, you like them all? Are you offering the services to all of the customers? I don't think so.
We are discussing how to do it more digitally, because this is not a new thing, but thanks to COVID, sorry for the statement, but thanks to COVID, we are really digital. So the statement again, no one does more for the digitalization that COVID does. Absolutely agree. And basically we are reacting on that, and not only we, but every single industry. And this is really great, honestly. So this is a positive side of the thing. And yes, we are focusing on every single customer. I mean, we as a bank, so if I'm talking or saying we, it doesn't necessarily mean only Erste, because this is an industry of change, and not only in banking.
Okay, so who will be a clear winner or loser in the long run? Banks, TechFins, or challenger banks? Let's come to the last question, because the time is running.
But TechFins definitely are. And who is the winner? Let's say that you will have your regular bank in the future, and it's still happening, and it will stay like that for a couple of years. But who will have, not in terms of fees, but really some profit behind, utilizing of data or some cross-sell, etc. My bet is that TechFins are going much faster than banks, but we have still a chance to react.
Okay.
I would like to react. So
Sure.
I think neither of those will be the winners, and the winners will be the consumers, because as I sort of said, in the future, it will be customary for a person to have, up to 5 to 10 accounts with different financial institutions, and we will sort of move from this a little bit of a monopoly situation to a world which is a lot more decentralized as far as offering, whether it's insurance or financial services. And I highly doubt that the model of the future is that an individual will have a one bank where they'll get insurance, whatever, health insurance, home insurance, and all of the other services, because this creates a large systematic risk, and I don't think this is the right way to go.
So it should have been left on the market. How it is going to be open, how is going to openness going to be developed, and what diversification of the services.
Exactly. The only thing that matters is what's good for the customer. And as I already said, there exists 2 billion people in the world that lack basic, checking account. They have no access to any banking services whatsoever. And I think among the sort of the greatest goals that we have as a society is to leverage the technology to make life easier, of everyone, and also to work to educate people as far as financial literacy. And if a regular person with no background in economics, finances, they sign up with one of the commercial banks here, they'll be bombarded with advertisements of you can take out a loan, do this, do that. They might not even understand the conditions. So I would say for a vast majority of people, it's not even suitable to have a regular bank account with access to credit without any collateral, and it sort of looks very easy. And some people, they don't quite understand the conditions. And perhaps there will be like sort of stepping stones where the first account that the person will have will be just a regular sort of checking account, either at the e-money institution or payment institution, and then they might escalate further. They might have a bank account if they ever need to get a loan for a car or housing or whatever, or a business loan. But I really disagree with the model of having just one institution take care of all the needs. It's just, I would say, just too much, too big of a challenge.
Okay, thank you. Now, very quick comments, because we are running out of the time. Please, dear guest speakers, very quick comments from all of you, if you would like to interact. To the last question.
What Kenneth said about the customers are the winner, but not just because of different, fintech, TechFins and banks all competing, but also that then gives more choice for small businesses and business accounts, and then that has a knock-on effect for them paying the retail customers. So the winner is the customer. The winner is you and me as consumers.
I think the winners from the company perspective will be those who will be listening to the needs and values of the changing environment of the consumers, and who will adapt to those and will provide services which are needed.
Okay.
Ali practically took my words and before Kenneth. So exactly, customer choice. And this is very important even for the young generation to have a choice. And then maybe specialization for each of the group, subject, fintech, TechFin, banks, with the special choice and tailored system for the customer. So fully agree, guys.
Okay. Jan, would you like to add something? Or maybe just... Okay.
Last statement probably on my side. As a bank, we need to deliver to the customer the answer and the needs, not the money. They don't want money. They have their own money. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for a very fruitful discussion. Hopefully we moved somewhere, at least with the recommendation, how the system should have been working, and how we should diversify the existing one and open the opportunities for all the players in this segment. Okay, so have a nice day, and see you on some other occasion. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.